Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages.
Oh, the hell with it. Let's just start the show.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Vern and Bob's Star Trek show. My name is Vernon.
I'm Bob.
And we are here to talk to you about all things Star Trek throughout this lovely series. And today we kind of pivoted. We were supposed to be talking about Star Trek Voyager and eating dirt, but due to the untimely, unexpected passing of a Star Trek legend, Tony Todd, we decided that we wanted to honor his memory in the Star Trek universe by doing an episode that starred him. Bob, a few episodes. What do we got? 5 episodes that he was in?
Yes, yeah, he was in 3 for TNG, and then I think it was 2 for DS9, which was one of the sadder ones, and then 1 for Voyager. He played the Harajan Alpha in the episode Prey.
I must strike my prey.
Yep.
I
didn't know that was him for the longest time.
Yeah, all good episodes, but the one that we are going to be focusing on today is his debut in Star Trek The Next Generation, which is Sins of the Father, which is the 65th episode of Star Trek The Next Generation, Season 3, Episode 17. It's going to be a good recap because we both like this episode. It's not one of those where we're going to tear apart. It does have some parts in it that we'll go over that were questionable. HR Riker yet again.
More crybaby anger.
Crybaby, you know. I don't get it. I think I'm going to end up not liking Riker by the time we're all said and done with this.
We've only done like 4 total episodes, well, this being the 4th one, and your disdain for Riker has just, every episode just gets higher and higher.
It's not good. So let's go ahead and jump right into it because this is a long, normal episode, but it's got a lot of stuff to it. Yeah. So our star date is 43685.2. And we kick off the episode that aired on March 19th, 1990. I was a wee lad of 4 years old at the time.
Ooh. I was 7 years old, 7 years young.
So we are dating ourselves here. All part of the Enterprise exchange program. You know, we had the moment where Riker went on to a Klingon battlecruiser and did his thing there.
A nice little callback to season 2.
Yep, which we'll get to.
Yeah.
Commander Kern is going to be the big focus on this episode. We hear Captain Picard talking about Commander Kern and how he specifically requested to be on the Enterprise for this exchange program. Kern beams aboard, wants to get straight to work, and Commander Riker, of course, who should know better from his time being on a Klingon battlecruiser.
In that scene, nothing that Kern does is wrong. He comes on and he said, "This is my first officer who will be relinquishing command to you." He just looks at him and goes, "You are relieved." It just seems like, and then like he immediately goes, "We were going to show you to your quarters." And he goes, "I just want to be allowed to take my post.
I want to go to work."
Yeah, exactly.
My show note here is Riker already looks put out or pissed based on his response. And you know, and this is going to be a reoccurring theme in the first part of this episode while we have this exchange program and everything. I don't think he did any wrong the whole time. He was a Klingon, and they should have expected that.
Yeah, and the only thing I noticed he did was kind of like expose the crew, like you said to me before, as being soft, a very undisciplined. He was just bringing a little bit of discipline, and they're complaining about it. This guy's too tough. He's always right. We're trying to do our job, and he wants to do an inspection. Well, that's a lot of times inspections happen during inopportune times.
You've got Wesley Crusher deciding to be a busy bee on the bridge, trying to get in Data's ear, whispering. The subtitles even said whispering is happening. And Kern basically, "Do you have anything you need to say, acting ensign Wesley Crusher?"
I just love how he tours the bridge and he gets down to them and they're sitting there whispering like two little 15-year-old girls.
Yeah. And Picard is all for it. He's basically saying, "This is your bridge. You do what you need to do."
Yeah.
That we decided to set course for the cometary cloud. And the note I have here is, why is Wesley so hyped about a commanding officer telling him when and where to push the go ship go button? He's like, "Oh, engage, sir. Yes."
Oh, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Wesley. I don't know if I don't get it. Like, I
Daddy
don't
issues.
understand. I don't understand what he told you where to go. No different than any other command that you would be given. Doesn't say the word engage, and you have to fit in engaging, sir. Blah, blah.
Yeah. No.
So we cut to 10 forward, and we're going to get to that part where we were talking about the inspection. Riker joins Wesley and 10 forward, trying to, excuse my notes, I'm very sarcastic with this scene, trying to stir up trouble about Kern, and Misery enjoys company with Geordi coming in and complaining about the inspection.
Okay, real quick, can I give my take on this?
You sure can.
So Riker comes in the 10 forward and makes a beeline for Wesley, which he proceeds to do the Riker maneuver.
Hold
and
on,
say, can I join you?
Pull it off.
Let's do it. Let's see. Come on.
I've got handles on this thing, so there it is. Maybe not as smooth because I don't have a half broken back, but there you go.
But he comes in and he sits down and he goes, Trebles or whatever. And the look that Wesley has on his face is this weird, grin. And he just goes, yeah, I just can't seem to do anything right.
Yeah. And it's like, just do your job. That's all the man's asking. So we get the whole scene about Geordi coming in and pointing out that there was a surprise inspection, and like you said, and you're on a starship.
What's the issue? Things like that happen, and it's not the first time or the last time we're going to see they're very strict people coming onto this ship, a la Jellicoe. I mean,
yeah, and
they complain about it then too. They don't want anybody that's going to be very they want someone like Riker who's going to be their friend. That's what they want.
So you've got everybody pointing out in this scene that he's rough on the crew, except for the one member that would enjoy a little bit of stern, a little bit of militant attitude, which is Worf, obviously, which we cut to Kern and Worf on the bridge. And Worf, just doing his job. There's a asteroid field nearby, and Kern absolutely, in the most polite way possible, grills him about should there be a course correction or anything like that. Basically, why are you telling me there's an asteroid field nearby if it's not going to interfere with ship operations?
So no course correction is needed. And he does in such a passive aggressive way too. You could tell he's goading him to try to do something, because when he kind of flinches, he gets that that big eyes, oh yes, here it is.
I want it. So we end that scene with that nice exchange. Takes us up to the dinner scene, which we start off in the turbo lift with Riker and Kern on the way to the captain's mess. So we're going to get the captain's mess here. And Riker, who should know better, again, HR Nightmare Riker, decides to make a suggestion on how Kern should perform his duties and treat the crew. Riker states that this is not a Klingon ship when they get off the turbo lift in a very aggressive manner.
I was going to say, he doesn't just state it. He comes out basically yelling at Kern.
Yeah, this is not a Klingon ship. And Kern stops, says, no, it is not. If it were, I would, and we have to say this for YouTube purposes, I would have expired you if it was for making a suggestion like that.
Yes, he would have expired him.
Yes, and it's true. I mean, and Riker should know this.
I'll tell you what, through this episode, Kern talks about expiring a lot of people at one point or another.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we cut up to the dinner scene, and we get a nice shot of Picard carving a nice bird. That's another great thing about this episode airing whenever it will. We're about a week out from Thanksgiving, so we get a really nice shot of a bird there. But Kern, with one of my favorite lines, and there's also one of your favorite lines in this very scene. I have quote city here for my note. Kern goes, How long has this bird been dead? It appears to have been laying in the sun for quite some time. Burnt, replicated bird meat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. That's always my that's one of my favorites right there.
And yes, there is somebody out there that has a bird that is overcooked and burnt, and you would have been
Everybody.
better off with
Mhm.
replicated meat. So then Dr. Crusher comes over, brings some caviar because Picard stores Romulan ale, caviar.
Yeah,
I watched an
all
episode
the
of Voyager the other night where Chakotay has stored away wine.
mhm.
So,
Real quick
mhm,
though. After, and I'm gonna put a clip up while we're talking about this. But after he takes the caviar and rubs it all
yeah,
over the turkey, did you notice what he did next?
he
He
just,
grabs one of the flowers from the
yeah, and
floral
puts it
arrangement
on
and
there.
puts it on his plate, and later on you'll see him eating the rose.
Yeah, he's he just grabs whatever's there. And my note here is Kern is quite respectful in this scene. He
Yeah,
actually, for a Klingon at a dinner table, is actually not half bad.
no, and
Um,
I think at one point you even see him using the utensils or trying to or whatever.
mhm. Eh,
And then they ask how he's enjoying the food, and he goes, "Oh, it's not very flavorful or whatever.
for
It's
a
not very
Klingon,
palatable for a Klingon." And Geordi, in the most unobvious, like he doesn't know. He's just like, "Well, Worf seems to like it very well," and it's just like, dude, read the room.
yes, he
Read
does,
read
doesn't he?
what's being said in this room. You're like
Yeah.
half listening to the conversation.
We then cut to Kern's quarters, and Worf enters, wanting to come in to ask some questions off the record. And Kern basically goes, "Can you not ask these questions within the parameters of a Starfleet officer?"
Yeah, yeah, and that's a big no.
And
Big
Worf goes,
no.
they're more of a personal nature. And
Then ask your questions.
so he asks the questions. Worf feels disrespected. Kern turns away, starts to walk away, and then Worf throws a fit, starts throwing furniture.
Yeah.
And another great line here is they start talking about perhaps your blood has grown thin being on a Starfleet ship, and Worf gets in Kern's face and basically goes, "I am Klingon. If you doubted, a demonstration can be arranged." My favorite line in this scene.
Yeah.
And then Kern proceeds to go, "That's the response I would expect from a Klingon. That's the response I would expect from my older brother." So now we see what's really
Oh.
going on, and then the big music score, and we go to commercial. Worf goes to Picard. We find that the accusations are being made by Doros, a house family rival of the House of Moog. And we start to see the respect between Worf and Picard here
Mhm.
when Worf asks, "Will you grant me my leave?" And Picard says, "No. As a member of a starship crew or Starfleet crew, I am your captain, and it would only be right that if I was there by your side."
Right, I like that. And that
Yeah.
I'm definitely on board with is if you're going to go through it, I'm going to go through it with you.
So when we return from commercial, we find Worf and Kern in 10 Forward talking about how a Chadich must be selected for combat ritual in case that happens during the challenge. Obviously, Kern is going to be the best candidate for that. They accept. Kern then goes, "I must go to defend my father's name." And Worf shuts that shit down pretty quick
Mhm.
and says, "No, you must not reveal your true identity at this time." I like that he's trying to protect his brother
Well,
there.
yeah,
So,
because he doesn't want him to have the same fate as he does
mhm.
if things go bad.
So that takes us to what I believe is Kronos. Am I right about this? Is this Kronos? Or it never
Yeah,
says which planet.
I would think so because that's where the council is.
Yeah,
Because earlier Picard just comes out and says,
take us.
"Commander, take us to the first planet of the Klingon Empire."
No,
And
yeah,
it's so I'm assuming it would be Kronos. I would guess that's where the council is. I wouldn't think
right,
that they would all travel to out the farthest out planet of the Empire just to
right.
meet with them.
So that takes us to the chamber of the High Command. Worf, right? And I don't know why Riker's there. Fuck, this
that
guy.
I didn't understand that either. Like he showed up and he just stands there the whole time. He doesn't really say anything. Does he even say anything?
No, he must have heard that the Duras sisters were going to be there, and he just wanted to hang out for a few minutes.
Yeah.
So Worf, Riker, Picard, and Kern beam down. Worf goes all bass and loud, and
yeah, and he gives that weird look while they're talking.
I am Worf.
I kind of got that feeling like that's how they talk in the.
But
the
I don't like
chamber.
the angle they've got them all from. Like,
yeah, and he does. Yeah, he looks and he goes, "I'm Worf, son of Moog,
and I'm here to challenge the accusations against my father." Duras, who we learn much about his family as we go, is leading the questioning. Later, we would think that this would be a conflict of interest, considering that his father was there as well.
Right.
We acknowledge Kern as Chadich, and Worf begins to get grilled and has to give another nice Klingon speech. Worf is questioned why Picard is present. Picard begins to speak as Duras shuts him down, but you see a sign of respect from Kempek, who I believe would be like the head council member.
He's the leader of the
Klingon Empire.
Yeah.
Yeah. You see him basically shut Duras down and allows Picard to talk, which then Picard gives his sign off on Worf, gives him his endorsement, and Kempek basically says that is commendable and the council will take that into consideration.
As him being the captain. And it's commendable that shows that much respect for somebody.
So then we get a test of the metal here, because Worf really has to restrain himself, because Duras basically comes down, cuts his sash off, says, "You will not wear this, the sign of our people, with you being labeled a traitor."
There's a line in there that I absolutely love where he tells him he's wearing the uniform of a child.
Yeah.
He's referring to the Starfleet uniform.
Right. Gets real personal. And then Duras, this is where we get one of our favorite lines here, a good repeat. Duras states, "Challenges that of a fool, which results in a fool's death." Then Worf delivers the tried and true Klingon line, "It is a good day to die, but the day is not quite over." Every time a recess is given or they have to leave the chamber, it's so dramatic how Duras turns. He's basically he's basically like a villain with a cape, like gotta swing it over.
That first time that they call the recess, he does like this huge like turn.
Yeah.
Real fast, and it like zooms off, and like everyone's like running after him.
Yeah, that catches my eye every time I watch the episode. So, returning from commercial, it's funny because Paramount puts the commercials exactly where they.
Yeah, that was another thing I never understood. When they would put these shows on, and it would be like the fade to black to go to commercial and fade back in from commercial. Why didn't you just cut that out and just? I mean, I get it would take time to go back and edit all these. But it's like you leave the commercial break in there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like, maybe just put it together as one long 40-minute episode.
Not all of us can have the VHS collection at home and watch it at the comfort of our being.
Hey, listen here, buddy. The VHS ones also have that. They have the...
Really?
Yes, they do.
I would have figured they just faded it in perfectly and made it
look good. No. Wow. It has the exact same thing where it fades the commercial break.
So we return with Riker and Picard. Returning to the Enterprise, Picard begins a full investigation of the Kittimer massacre, both with Klingon files, Federation files, Romulan tactics. He basically is going full blast here, and then goes to his ready room to study Klingon law.
Oh, yeah. Just got to brush up on it.
We return back to the council chambers where Kern and Worf are getting ready to have a conversation. This is pretty much in real time, like both events happening at the same time because they just left the chamber. Yeah. Kempek comes over, wants to talk to Worf. But in the meantime, while we're setting up that conversation, I've got here that Kern receives a telegram and rushes off.
Yeah,
meet somebody.
It's like the guy just hands it to him, and he like opens it like
it looks like a fortune cookie.
Yeah, like a little, and he goes, "Oh," and takes off and walks off. Yeah.
So we obviously know something's not right there. Kim Peck tries to get Worf to basically run away from the challenge and guarantees him that his family name, he won't have to bear this curse. He won't have to be expired. Basically, leave.
Yeah, you really get your first sense of, okay, there's something else going on here.
Yeah. We return back to the Enterprise, and this is where you were going at. We find that the Intrepid was responding to the first responding ship by the Federation to the outpost disaster. Files are going to be cross-referenced, and then we go straight back to the surface, where Kern is found by himself, face-to-face with Duras. They have some words. Duras reveals that they know who he is, who his father is. And Duras, even with the hate that he has for the House of Moog, allows an opportunity for Kern to walk away. Be like,
Yeah.
nobody has to know who you are. Walk away. Go be with your family. Just go. And of course, Kern, fighting for his family honor and defending Worf, says, "Up yours." And two of Duras's men jump him, and they stab him down.
This is, even though I've seen this episode probably a dozen times, but this is really the point where you're like, okay, I think he's got something to do with this.
Yep.
Just go out of his way to just try to murder somebody. Maybe Kim Peck doesn't have anything to do with it. Maybe he's just trying to protect the Empire, like he says. But this guy going and trying to kill Kern,
a little shady here.
A little shady, yeah.
We cut to commercial after the stabbing. Come back. We're in sick bay now. Dr. Crusher. She's a medical professional, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Supposed
she
to
is
be,
chief medical officer of the
well,
Starship Enterprise.
she ran Starfleet Medical for an entire year too.
Yeah,
supposedly.
When they're looking at the wound, her face is all like, "What kind of weapon makes a vicious wound like that?"
Well, clearly it's a knife of some kind.
Yeah,
I mean,
and you're dealing with Klingon, so Klingon weaponry obviously has offshoots of every which way of a blade that it could possibly, because you're not supposed to get up from it.
I think this was just a way to segue into Worf saying it was a blade of an assassin.
Yeah, it's a cutlass, which is a ceremonial weapon of an assassin.
Yeah.
I'm like, my note is, oh, what? You have a particular weapon that is of ceremonial level
for a
assassin. So Kern ends up being all right. We go to the bridge. Now, this is where, you were talking. Data states that some of the info we already know about the allegations, and then the logs are cross-checked, and we find gaps and discrepancies in the Intrepid logs.
This is getting back to, if you guys watched our last episode, where it is just the I figured it out moment, where this stuff was available for the last 30 years. And Geordi just glances at it and realizes, oh, wait, after a certain point, there's a gap in the information. Like some kind of analyst wouldn't look at that and have figured it out and like, well, there's a time discrepancy in the two logs.
Does Starfleet not have checks and balances or
red
flags whenever their data files are altered?
Yeah, and I get that. And you don't think the Klingons, this is a massacre of one of their outposts. You don't think that they're studying these records? So all of a sudden the data transfer between the two, they don't match up after a certain point, and nobody notices that. Oh, the crew of the Enterprise is 10 times smarter than anybody else in the universe. They were able to catch this in 30 seconds.
Geordi LaForge and Commander Data.
I'm more surprised that they didn't try to give the credit to Wesley, because it seems like when shit like this happens, it's always giving him the credit for it.
I mean, he is a traveler, so he went back and just planted the seed of. But so here's the thing, though. You watch this scene, and it's not Data.
No, it's not. And you would
when
think
it's going 90 mile an hour, it's not Data.
Whoa, wait a second. It's Geordi.
Yeah, he goes, well, what is that? Data. You didn't see the time description. Like you and your infinite computing power.
Yeah, how much you can process.
We basically have Picard and Worf come to the conclusion that Kim Peck and Duras are hiding something, and possibly even the High Council. Worf informs Picard, with Kern being on the sideline riding the pine, a new Chadich must be chosen. And he then asks, and I love the way he does this. It's a very entrapment type way of asking. He's like, may I have permission to ask any member of the Enterprise crew? And Picard goes, well, sure.
Yeah.
Goes, I would choose you as Chadich.
Because the way he says it is, I would like for you to be the new Chadish. He goes, but don't worry, you can decline
You
it
can
without
say
any
no.
dishonor.
You can say no.
Wow, what a passive aggressive way to
And
end.
Picard's like, there are stronger, younger men on this ship that would serve that purpose better. Like, take Commander Data. Okay,
Yeah,
take
well,
Data as
basically,
your
well,
Chadish.
I'm gonna be
Who's
honest.
going to fuck with Data? Come on
If
now.
that was me, that is who I'm picking.
Ain't
Like
nobody messing with Data.
the Chadish is supposed to be for like
The muscle.
combat situations. Why would you not pick Data? First of all, he's the smartest person on the ship.
Smartest, fastest, strongest.
Strongest, yeah. Why would you not? Any situation, I would pick Data.
Yeah,
But if I had to go down to a planet, I could only take one person with me. I'm taking Data.
right.
Taking Data.
So Picard then, accepts. Go back to the chamber count, the chambers where Worf and Picard arrive. Worf continues the challenge and has some insulting words for Duras about an attempt on his Chadich's life by a coward. And then Picard announces himself as Chadich. Duras challenges Picard, and Picard shows off how big his set of Earl Greys are by basically reiterating the whole thing that a demonstration can, because he says something about Starfleet's weak and doesn't know combat, and he replies, I can deliver a complete opposite portrayal of that if you want. And they hand him the little sword, and then we cut back to the Enterprise where Beverly introduces us to the chance that there's a survivor.
Okay, can I just stop you right there?
Let's do it.
And here's my question. Why is she the one that finds out about this woman?
This should have been in
Why
ship
is she
logs
the
that
one-
Geordi or Data found.
Why is this not brought up when they're looking at the logs? Why did that, where was she looking that she found this out? Why was she looking? She's supposed to be taking care of Kern. And now all of a sudden she comes on the bridge and she goes, oh, well, I found another survivor from Kittimer.
The only thing that I can think with that, because I thought that same question myself, is that she was the nurse of the House of Moog. So with her being in a medical position, that might have been something that was logged that way back a long time ago. But, we come to find out a little later that she's supposed to be dead. Like her identity was supposed to be.
So any records would have her dying Kittimer.
So how does Beverly Crusher find something that says and she even knows where she lives?
You know what? Here's the other thing is Deanna Troy's in this another episode where she doesn't really do anything besides.
Troy has one line.
Yeah,
but then she comes at the dinner table.
When he comes and when Picard and Riker come back from the first meeting in the chamber,
she's with them.
She's with them like she was down there, and she comes walking on with them like I'm a big deal. But she has
I don't think she says anything.
No, she doesn't really say anything through the. It's another episode where she's just there.
She's just there in a skin-tight outfit to be seen.
Guinan was a better ship psychiatrist than Deanna Troy was.
You see more out of her. I mean, the only few times I can remember Deanna being a ship's counselor role was in the episode when she gets overtaken by that guy that brings like his
crazy. It was supposed to be like his mom, but it turned out to be like a former lover. Yeah,
basically the host of his lover. And she was there talking with a shipmate about their relationship problems, and Deanna goes, well, maybe he's just not that interested in you because you sit around and complain a lot. Anytime I've ever seen her be a counselor, she's demeaning and just kiss my ass. You don't.
Well, we're getting a little off topic.
Anyways,
that's true.
So we asked for another recess here. Picard asked for a recess, and again we go to Duras floating away like an evil princess, and we fade to black, go into commercial why Duras' men is seeing Picard leave.
You know what? I feel like they call for recess now because there's so many recesses in this that I feel like even the characters realize that more gets accomplished during the recess than it does in the actual chambers.
Yeah.
So they're just calling for recesses now for just whatever. We're going to take a quick recess.
We've got Picard going into the not so hot part of town on Kronos, and I made a piece here, a note to talk about the set piece.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure this is the same set piece that they use in the episode that has like the aqueduct thing that they shut down.
Yeah,
like the stairs he comes down, there's the aqueduct right there.
Yeah, and I feel like because that's all season 3, I feel like they just recycle a lot of during season 3. You'll see a lot of just recycled set pieces that they just they may try to repurpose it to try to make it look different, but you can still kind of tell.
Yeah. I was
Yeah.
expecting water to be coming down that thing because that's
Yeah.
I said this is exactly that set piece. Picard enters the home of Kalis, tells her who he is, but she already knows who Shadich is.
Yeah.
He begins to try to persuade her to go back and testify that she was there. She was close to the house of Moog. And basically, she lays out the whole story for him, says Moog was there trying to find the true traitor.
Mm-hmm.
And that she pretty much knows that it was Duros. And basically, no, I'm not going to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm a dead person.
I'm supposed to be dead, and
Yeah.
I'm going to stay that way.
Picard holds his own.
Mm-hmm.
Holds his own better than Kern did. And then, of course, Kalis comes in and stabs guy in the back. And then they say, yeah, let's go do it. And then he asks her if they will remember who she is. And she's like, yeah, Kim Peck. He used to hit on me, and I told him he was too fat.
such a blunt insult, and not even like trying to be coy about it. He was too fat.
Emphasis on the fat.
Yeah.
So they return to the high chamber, where basically Picard interrupts right at the last moment before judgment is passed. And here we go. We duck back into another dark room, and we don't talk into the public chamber with this. Duros threatens to kill Kalis. Kim Peck pretty much spills the beans as to what everything is, where it's about Duros's father, not Worf's that was the traitor. And basically, if they let this out, it will unravel the entire Klingon Empire.
Right. And
which any of these things always are set to unravel the Klingon Empire. It's
apparently,
I think we even get that in Deep Space Nine. So.
Yeah, the House of Moog is like the center of the universe, or the Klingon Empire. Kim Peck is just completely over this. He goes, I'm just going to tell them what the fuck is going on, and we're going to explain it that this is what we need to happen. Right. Enough playing games, just tell them that it was Duros's father, but Duros's family is way too powerful right now to allow the shame onto their family. You're in Starfleet. We'll say that Kern's still Kern. He's not, Well, what does it matter? Let's just...
You get Worf, who steps up and accepts to leave the Empire in dishonor to protect his brother. And once they say that's an agreeable thing, nobody has to die, you'll go serve in Starfleet, like you said. Worf smacks the shit out of Duros.
Oh God, he backhands the crap, and like Kim Peck just goes,
Looks good.
Right.
Looks good.
Yeah.
So the council agrees that they turn their back on Worf.
You get the iconic scene.
Yeah, and then Worf, Kern's the last one that has to turn, and he basically says, "You also have to turn with us." And he says, in front of the whole chamber, says,
"Yeah, brother."
I'm like, what the fuck? Wasn't that the whole point of doing this?
Yeah. Yeah. Here's the other thing I noticed about this, and they make a big deal about it when the Duras sisters try to seize power. And they say that the Duras sisters have a claim to the council, and Gowron goes, no, women are not allowed on the council, but you clearly see two women in that when they turn their back, you clearly see two women as on the council.
And I meant to go back and look. One of them looked like one of the Duras sisters, so I almost want to go back and look to see if that's who one of the actresses were.
But that was one of the things I caught in that scene. I was like, well, those are women. But according, even in just the next season or 2 seasons, women aren't allowed on the council. So
the one thing that sticks out to me on this as we're wrapping up the episode, when Kern does turn, he does not turn the same way everyone else.
That is true.
Turns.
Yeah,
he turns left where everyone else. No, everybody else turned right, and he turned left.
I did notice that.
I really thought later that would come up as something, but I do like how he basically went against the council and turned the opposite direction.
So that's,
that wraps it up with Worf and Picard leaving the chamber, and we close out with the big old...
I like that ending where they just walked off and they're all just standing there, still standing there. Yeah, that was a very nice, very, very cold ending to that episode.
We know we nitpick things and we have fun with the episode. That was the whole purpose of this show, to have fun with episodes of Star Trek. But we did want to pay respect to Tony Todd and his performance here. We love this episode.
Oh yeah, do you want to go ahead and do our rating? 1 out of 5?
I give it 5.
You're going with 5.
I give it 5. It is one of my favorite episodes.
Like I've always said, season 3 from start to finish is probably the most complete season of the series.
Maybe strong 4.
I'd go 4. I would
Mhm.
go 4, strong 4. There's still a couple of little things that,
The
but
writing.
I would give it, I'd not, you know what? I would go 4.5.
Okay.
It's not quite a 5, but it's, it's not a 4. It's right there.
Mhm.
It's right there. If a few things were a little bit different, it would be that 5.
Too
So we don't end up seeing Tony Todd again until the redemption to
Yep, Redemption 1 and 2.
part 1 and 2. Yeah,
Mhm.
and that I can't wait. That's probably up there with Best of Both Worlds as the better two-parters for the series.
Next time, obviously, we're not going to do our randomizer for the next episode because
Are we not?
we have a jar of dirt. We're gonna review that episode.
Since we didn't do that episode, that means I'm gonna have to go rewatch it again. And I told you, I texted this guy and said, "Hey, it took me 3 different sits to watch the entire episode. I had to stop like
It is
20,
harder to swallow
15
than a
minutes.
jar of dirt.
It's these people watching the first like 5 or 6 episodes are gonna think we hate Star Trek so much.
No, that's
But
why I
it's
always
just
gotta say we don't hate it.
it's just
Any show
bad
that
episodes.
any show we're willing to take the time to do this show about, we don't hate it. We love
And
it.
I'm gonna put this out here right now. Any episode of Voyager that revolves around Kess and Neelix is terrible. It's just garbage. Garbage.
With that, you can comment at Bob on TikTok. Bob, where can we find you?
Well, really, the only thing I have, and we'll probably have them popping up here in a second, but it is at Trekkie83 on TikTok. I like to post a lot of clips and some videos of my collecting of VHS tapes.
So that reminds me, you talk about your collection of VHS tapes for Star Trek and your love of all things Star Trek collectibles.
Yep.
I went to the mountains for my anniversary before this episode was recorded, and I like to go thrift shopping. And I pulled down for you a nice collector's box edition of the original series movies.
Shut up.
Yeah, really nice box. It's got a little bit of wear and tear at the top, but it's a really nice box. Opens up to have all the VHS. And somebody's random ass collector's card was in there.
That is fucking awesome.
Even comes with the Gene Roddenberry signed certificate of authenticity for the box set.
Oh, no way.
So I saw it, and I walked over to it. I said, yep, that's coming home for Bob.
Thank you.
So that will be delivered to you at a near date.
I love that. Thank you so much. Oh, I'm gonna show that's gonna get showed off on the old TikTok.
Yeah, and everything's in good shape. Like the boxes are almost in pristine
I've never
condition.
You know what? I've seen the box sets of those with just a regular but I've never seen like that actual case. So that is pretty cool.
Yeah, the boxes are in pristine condition. Like there's a little bit of tear down one of them, but I would consider pristine for it to be. It's the 25th anniversary collection.
Oh, beautiful!
Even has the original VHS. Let me see, when did this come out? Doesn't show it on here, but does have like the original barcode of whenever it came out, like when it was on the shelf.
Amazing. I appreciate that, man.
Yeah,
that is so cool.
I saw it and I was like, yes, please. So for me on TikTok, you can find me at wvglag, which usually you can find me commenting or liking on Bob's TikTok because I do like, especially when we have episode stuff. I even put up all these notes recently. So
you sure did. Yeah.
It was a pain because it was all red and that was driving me crazy because I'm like, oh God, the computer doesn't know Klingon.
It doesn't know Kern and Worf and Klingon
and Kimpek.
Yeah.
So that is us, guys. Thank you so much for being here. Please like, subscribe, comment. If you're listening to us on the podcast form, do all the clicky clicks for that.
Down below, we have our Discord. We have a link to the invite for the Discord, so be sure to join that.
We want to share time with you in the Discord, hang out, chat. I know when we get enough people in there, we will start doing some Discord benefits and ways to get more interactive with the show and with us. So for that, guys, for Bob, myself, everybody, have a great day.